Okay, we're live. I thought it wasn't gonna. I thought it was gonna click over there. Hello, everyone. How you doing? Bob, how are you?
I am great. Home from vacation. Well, if you call it a vacation, I'm home and back to making videos, as my channel will happily tell you that I've had a couple of videos come out since I got back.
Awesome, awesome. And everyone, thank you for joining us. As you come in, please say hello and let us know where you're coming in from. And yeah, g'day, Aid. How you doing? Miriam, how are you? Uh, Andy Allen, thank you for becoming a new member. Yeah, let us know where you're coming in from, and we'll say hello. Also, please drop a like as you come in, whether you're on my channel or Bob's channel. That'll help us get more people into the chat. And if you've got any questions or anything you'd like us to discuss, please put a Q in front of your comment and we will get to it. Miriam coming in from Australia. Awesome. Okay. And Sandra from Chicago. How you doing? Awesome. We got 16 people in already. And we've got Peter. How you doing? And people are calling me DJ Mac now. Oh my goodness. Bob, we kind of talked about this backstage, but how was your trip?
The visiting with my sister and my mom was fine. It was great. I got to see my sister for, well, it was supposed to be a day, but I got to see her for just a few hours before she left for Florida. And then I got to see her again for a few hours when she got back from Florida before I got on a bus to come home. I didn't get to see her as much as I thought I would because for saving money, because the round trip bus ticket costs just a little more than what it costs to fill my truck up twice, and it takes about 6 tanks of gas to get to Ohio and back in my truck. So I did save a lot of money, but the bus leaving Omaha was late, so I missed my Chicago connection, which gave me an extra 6.5 hour layover in Chicago on the way to Ohio. So I was late getting into Ohio. And then on the trip home, my bus leaving Ohio, my first stop was in Detroit, and the bus was late getting there. Now, when I say late, I'm talking just a little bit. I missed my connection by 5 or 6 minutes, and the bus had already left. And that 5 or 6 minutes cost me on the way home 11.5 hours of just sitting in Detroit. And I don't know if you're familiar with bus stations over here, but they have gone to a new system. I don't know if that's exactly what it's called, but I call it passive aggressive anti-homeless seating. All of the benches in the bus stop have armrests on both sides, so it's impossible to lay down on the benches that are in the bus stop. And they're all made of this wire mesh material that, believe me, after 11.5 hours, it's digging into your butt really, really hard. I was pretty sure you could see the crosshatches on my rear end when I took my pants down to go to the restroom. It was, that stuff is really rough. So it was my 20-hour trip home turned into about 35, 36 hours. And it's been really hard recovering from that because I can't sleep on a bus. The bus is always rocking back and forth. And then it was very windy, which magnified the rocking of the bus even more. So it was impossible to get any sleep. So I was up for the entire 35-hour trip home. And it's taken a little bit of work to get myself back. I've gone out on a couple of short walks. If you've been watching my videos, which many of you have, you'll notice that I've been complaining a little bit about how this hurts a little bit and that hurts a little bit. That's still me trying to recover from that bus trip home. And then I didn't do it any favors. Yesterday was Tuesday, so I had a dance class. And with only 6 lessons left between now and when concert time is, some people would call it a recital, but we call it a dance concert. We went really hard last night to get everything finished so that now all I have to do is polish it up and get it ready. But I tweaked a knee or something last night, so I've been sitting around the house
Oh no.
nursing that today. So that's
Oh.
the story of my life for the last couple of weeks.
And on your travels, how did you go with Carnivore?
Actually, I had seen them before and decided they were way too expensive for regular use. But there's a beef stick out there put out by a company called Chomps, not a sponsorship. Just that's what I bought because that's what they had. But it's a zero sugar, grass finished beef stick. And they're fairly good sized beef sticks, but they're $16, $17 a pack, which makes them a little over $2 a beef stick. And to even be enough to what I would call a reasonable snack, I needed 3 of them. So I bought 2 packs. I thought it would be 1 pack for the trip there, 1 pack for the trip back. But with all my delays, I ate the entire 2 packages on the way to Ohio, and then another 2 packages on the way home. I did have one minor slip up because it's just the way it is when you're sitting in a Detroit bus stop at 2 o'clock in the morning and your beef sticks aren't going to last. I went over and I got a package of donuts out of the machine. And I was afraid that package of donuts was going to screw me up on top of everything else, because eating beef sticks and pork rinds as your mainstay is not really what you'd call a great diet. But I did finally get on the scale this morning, and I'm down about a half a pound from when I left. So it obviously didn't kill me too bad.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Yeah, it's when you're traveling, it's really hard. You can plan, you can plan a lot, but
Yeah,
you
and if I'd
you can't plan around delays like that.
Right. And if I'd been in my truck, I could have just pulled over at a grocery store and gotten some more meat sticks or beef jerky or something. But when you're on a bus, you're kind of at the mercy of where they stop. And that's usually truck stop style convenience stores. And of course, there was only one of those between Chicago and here. Everything else, the bus from Detroit to Chicago was, well, it's only about a 4-hour drive if you drive it straight through, and it took us a full 10 hours to get there because it was a local bus. It stopped at every little town along the way. I'm not planning on going back to Ohio anytime soon, so if I do have to go back for something unforeseen, I will probably just drive my truck at this point, because I can stand a bus trip about once every 10 years, and then I stop remembering how bad it was the last time and think, oh yeah, I can just take a bus, and then I remember why I don't like to take buses.
Yeah, I've done an overnight bus one time, and I will never ever do a bus again on a long trip, because it's just, you can't sleep. It's uncomfortable. It's the movement is the constant stopping and just everything about it. And the thing, like with being late and stuff, you're at the mercy of the traffic, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons we were late. I had an hour and a half scheduled in layover once they got me reticketed and sent from Detroit to Chicago to get on the bus from Chicago to Omaha. I had an hour and a half layover and thought I was going to have plenty of time to go find something near the bus station to get a bite to eat. But Chicago traffic being what Chicago traffic is, it was even worse than usual. And it took us about 40 minutes to cover the last 2 miles into the station. So I only had about 15 minutes. I mean, I got my bag, got into the station, and was just about to ask somebody there where the bus to Omaha was when they came over the speaker and said, now boarding out of gate 7, the bus to Omaha. So I literally had no time in Chicago. So Yeah, it was not a good day.
Hmm.
I was
Wow.
really happy to get home.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the whole time I would have been that was all that would have been on my mind. I can't wait to walk in the front door. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
And
saw.
a very friendly reminder here from Kathy Collins. Thank you all. Yeah, please do hit the like button, and that'll bring more people in. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and hey, John, how you doing? So we were also talking before we went live about coffee. What's your coffee status at the moment, Bob?
It's day 3 without coffee. I'm trying to do a 60-day run without coffee because the thing that I explain to my people on my channel is that I have done 30 days without coffee twice, but that was both back in the first year of Carnivore, and I didn't notice any difference. But now that I have healed even more, I'm curious if I will notice a difference. This is not, I'm not giving up coffee for 60 days because I think coffee's bad. I think everybody reacts to coffee differently. And if you can have coffee and it doesn't affect you, by all means go ahead. But I won't know that until I think this whole 60-day run, now that I'm 2 years into it and much healthier than I was when I did the last no coffee run,
Mm.
I think this 60 days will tell me a lot. I was
Mm.
a little on the groggy, not feeling good side the first day, but I feel pretty much normal now, and it's day 3. So,
Nice.
and you've been doing a no coffee yourself, haven't you, Dave?
Yeah, I haven't paid attention to when I started, but it must be coming up on 4 months now.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, I didn't have the same experience when I first gave it up. Like, unless I was doing something and I was on my feet for the first 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. If I was just sitting doing something on the computer, I was trying to edit some video or something like that, I would just find myself going, "Ugh." It was terrible. But that also kind of was, the sign that I was probably way overdoing the coffee.
Could
So,
be.
I think even if you only give it up for 30 days or something like that, or you do some kind of challenge where you're doing it for 60 days, 90 days, it's worth doing it's good to know how different things affect your body, right?
Right. I mean, that's the whole thing, like Carnivore Kip challenged you to go without cheese. And while you had had cheese the entire time you were carnivore, you cut it out for a while and noticed that you felt better without the
Mm,
cheese. We won't know that until we try it,
mm, mm,
As, Dr. Chafee and Professor K and all of the others say, it's not fair, but that last 5% can make as much as 40 to 50% of a difference. So
mm,
until you cut all the stuff out, you won't know. I'm sure there are many people out there that are just fine because they like green beans and they eat green beans a couple of times a week. But they won't know they're okay until they cut them out for a month or two to see how their body reacts to not having that thing. And
mm,
then if they don't notice any difference at all, by all means, go back to having that thing, but you won't know if that thing is affecting you until you cut it out for a while.
mm. Yeah, definitely. Hey, Rick, how you doing? Quack,
Hey,
quack.
Rick, good to see you. Mm-hmm.
Um, all right, so we've got a interesting comment here from John. Just broke a 65-hour fast today with some hamburger and ribeye. I did consume black coffee during my fast. Nice work. 65 hours is a good long fast.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess you would have been feeling pretty good, certainly towards the second half of that fast, I would imagine, based on how I felt on 48-hour fasts. But yeah, 68
Hmm.
hours. I want to try for 72 at one point, but yeah, I really need to work up to it, and I
The only
may
time,
need to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Bob.
no, the only time I've done 72 was when I was sick a year and a half ago. It was at Christmas time that when I was down in North Carolina, we stopped and got some. I didn't realize we were going to stop for food. We stopped and I went ahead and just got a pint of their barbecue meat,
Mm,
uh, and it was not good. I got food poisoning from it and was sick for several days. So I had a the best way to recover from being sick is don't eat. And I did not
mm,
eat for it was 4, maybe even 5 days. I didn't eat. I'd have to go back and look at the videos now. It's been so long ago, but as a
yeah.
general rule, I'm not a big fan of fasting. I like to
Mm,
eat.
yeah. Yeah. I like to eat too, but like yeah, there is a point during the fast where you feel really good, but yeah, I'm a bit of an eater myself as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a question here from Miriam. Anyone have an alternate hot drink to coffee? Winter coming up here, and I need warm drinks. So for me, the thing I've found, and this is recommended to me by uh, Bridget, who I interviewed a couple of times on my channel. Um, Hot water, boiled water, and salt is absolutely awesome. Like this is the best discovery I've ever made. Um, yeah, love it. How about you, Bob?
I've been doing because I use cereal products. I've been using the Collagen Active, which makes up a blue drink, and most people just mix it up cold and drink it down. But I have been mixing it up in a hot drink with a package of electrolyte in it, so
Mm,
that I am getting my collagen for the day and my electrolytes boost for the day. And I add a little extra salt to it in a cup of really hot water, and that's what I've been having in the morning.
nice. Nice. Okay, interesting comment here from Aid. Um, when we get sick, our immune response triggers leptin. That's why we don't want to eat when we get sick. This in turn with autophagy and ketones, which heals us. Interesting. So I guess that's probably the same with most species because you see cats and dogs when they're unwell, they won't eat either. And yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Carlos, how you doing? Dave, have you been on vacation since going carnivore? If so, how did you do? Yeah, I've been away a couple of times, both times to Australia, since I went carnivore. And both times it's been pretty easy because I've been on holidays, I've lashed out and I've been to restaurants for most of my meals and stuff. So yeah, just went to restaurants and had steaks and dealt with the credit card bill later. And the first time when I went to Australia, I was staying with my parents, so I was able to cook breakfast for myself as well. So it was all pretty easy. Yeah. But yeah. Oh, John's got a suggestion here. Chocolate element or salt with hot water. Nice.
Yeah.
Um,
Salty. That's the
saltine.
yeah, salty.
Ah,
That is Keto Chow's version of LMNT. They have
ah,
many different flavors. They have a chocolate, they have a caramel. I actually like the melon booyah or whatever it's called. Berry booyah is the flavor I've been mixing
okay.
in with my drink in the morning.
Oh, nice. Berry booyah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Link in the
And
description.
And John's also suggesting hot water with lemon. Susie says for an alternative to coffee, try bone broth. It's wonderful with some salt or some unflavored electrolyte. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I love iced salted coffee. Oh, interesting combination. Iced salted coffee. Wow. Okay. And Patricia, hello. How are you?
I'm glad
Okay.
she's here.
So, yeah. Guys, please do us a massive favor. Please smash the like button. We'll get some more people in if you do that, because YouTube sends out its feelers and notifications to everyone. The more likes there are, the more interaction it sees. And also, if you have questions or something we could be discussing, please put a Q in front of your comment and let us know what it is. Let us know your questions. Yeah. So, how was your and Rick's saying I always click like, thank you, Rick. How was your family with you doing carnivore while you were there, Bob? Is your sister already keto or
Now, well, my sister Janet, where I was staying, she is not keto. They weren't there, but she went. She did go to the commissary and got groceries for me as requested. There were like 4 dozen eggs, 6 pounds of ground beef, and 4 packages of bacon in her refrigerator for me when I got there. So she does not understand the diet, but she understands that I am doing much better than I was 2 years ago. So that's what she had for me in her fridge. My sister, the runner, Judy, she has been dabbling with keto off and on for the last 30 years or so. So she at least kind of understands it.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Oh, we got a question here from Rick. Have either of you eaten duck or iguana lately? I've never had iguana. I haven't had duck since like maybe 1997 or something. It's been a long time. How about you, Bob? You had duck or
I've,
iguana?
I've never had iguana. I'm still waiting on Rick to invite me over for dinner. And duck, same thing. I had duck. They used to serve it at the Chinese restaurant that I went to, but of course I don't go there anymore. So it's probably been. It was before my heart surgery 6.5 years ago was the last time I had duck because it's a fatty meat, and as we all know, fatty meat is bad for you. So when I had my heart surgery, I cut that out. I didn't have that anymore, and I haven't been back to the Chinese restaurant since because their duck is about the only thing on the menu I could eat, and I'm sure there's still plenty of sugar when they make that. So I don't go out to eat, and buying duck is an exotic meat in Omaha because we have beef. If I find duck or any of the other things that people like leg of lamb and stuff like that, it's really expensive here. Beef, dirt cheap. I can get pounds of ground beef for less than $3 all day long, and that's what it is. If I was willing to spend that much, I did see they had some steaks on sale. They were top sirloin something or other. It had some more words on it telling you what part of the cow it came out of for the sirloin steak, and they were on sale, but they were still like $6.99 a pound, and I didn't feel like I wanted to spend that much money on a meal since I'm still in money saving mode to move to that chunk of land back there.
Yeah. Oh, we've got a few questions coming through now.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah, and Rick, hopefully I'll get over to Florida at some point and maybe we can have an iguana party or something, Yeah, I'd love to try it, but I need it to be cooked by a professional like yourself, not just, I can't try it on my own. Yeah. Okay, Joff. Hey, how you doing? Um, so hi both. What are your thoughts on people saying they quit carnivore and started going the fruity path? I've seen a rise lately with doctors in particular. Um, I don't know. You wanna take this one first, Bob?
I'm happy to talk about this one. If you are younger or have never been metabolically ill, like I know Rick is not going to start eating fruit because he doesn't like fruit, and he's been a carnivore for 40 years, but he's also been metabolically healthy. I think he could get away with eating a little bit of fruit from time to time if he wanted. I think since most of the people that watch these people are more like me and Dave, and most of the people in the chat have been metabolically ill for some period of time. Maybe not as ill as I was for 40 years, but they have been metabolically unwell. I think encouraging them to add a little bit of fruit to their diet is not only bad advice, but harmful advice. You could harm a lot of people because, yes, if they're metabolically healthy, younger, or they're bodybuilders, or, there are some very specific people that could see a little bit of benefit from adding an apple every other day or so. Most of the people that watch these doctors are just people like me that are metabolically sick, and they're now going to get permission to start dumping fruit into their body. And the fructose is what causes fatty liver disease. And it has been shown that glycation from fructose to our tissues can be up to 7 times as damaging as the glycation from glucose. So, anybody that's pushing fruit, I will say, if you do okay with it and want to have a little bit of fruit once in a while, that's fine. But to tell people that, it's okay to eat fruit on a regular basis, I would call that borderline criminal advice. But I don't really have a strong opinion about that. What do you think, Dave?
So look, I basically agree. Like, and I would just say, I mean, I can't do it. You put anything sweet near me, and that's it. You know, it's gonna throw me off the road. It's gonna make me sick probably, but it's gonna throw me off the track completely. And as you say, anyone that's come into carnivore from being metabolically unhealthy, it's probably not a good idea to start adding fruit and all sorts of paraphernalia. Just stay the course. But yeah, it's definitely not for me. So if the likes of someone like Paul Saladino, um, you know, all power to him, right? He's very active and he can have his honey and his whatever he's having, his beef, his honey, and his pineapples and his desiccated testicles and whatever he's having. But not for me. Yeah, it just
Yeah, his
wouldn't work.
channel should come with a warning label. Follow this advice only if you surf 4 to 6 hours a day.
Yeah. Even if I stick to carnivore, strict carnivore for the rest of my life, I'm not going to have a physique like his because I'm not. Yeah, I'm not surfing 4 hours a day. So, yeah, I'm never going to be as metabolically healthy as he is. So, Susan Grande, I got blood work done yesterday, first time in years, almost a year into 95% carnivore, homocysteine 12 high, blood protein 6.1 low, everything else normal, LDL 200 lol, A1C 5.4. Ooh, okay. Congratulations. You now have a fight on your hands with your doctor about statins. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
A1C of 5.4 is doing great.
mm,
LDL is nothing to worry about. I would
mm,
invite you to tune into my channel tomorrow because I have a good discussion about cholesterol already uploaded for
oh,
tomorrow's video with a special guest. I actually just cut an excerpt out of one of the interviews I did with Professor K. So, but yeah, there's LDL at 200 is nothing to worry about. In fact, pre-statin, before statins were a thing,
mm,
if you had gone to your doctor and you had gotten a total cholesterol of 250 or even 300, they would have said, good job. But now that there's
mm,
statins, there's a $1 trillion industry out there. They want to get you as low as possible. And the problem with that is that there are, again, there's no such thing as nutrition science because we can't do actual science, which requires locked in lab and all of that stuff. But there are some fairly robust studies now that show the higher your LDL, the more protected you are from all cause mortality.
mm,
Just saying.
mm.
Um,
Yeah.
the rest of that, I don't know what any of that means because I just don't. I'm not a doctor. I don't even play one on TV. But it sounds to me like you're doing really well, Susan.
Mm. Yeah. It's similar. I'm not sure what the other numbers mean, but yeah. I certainly wouldn't be worrying about the LDL. Especially if your HDL triglyceride ratio is good, then I think that's more important, right? Yeah.
I actually don't think any of that is super important. And if you
Mm.
watch Professor K's explanation on my channel tomorrow, you'll find out more. But the basic gist of it
I'll
is
be tuning in.
you do know that atherosclerotic lesions or plaques that build up in our arteries, they don't happen in veins. It's the
Mm.
same blood, the same cholesterol, the same LDL, it's the same everything else floating around your blood, yet they only happen on the high pressure side of the system in very specific spots.
Mm.
So, and the other thing that I talk about quite a bit, if the lowering of cholesterol was the thing that was going to fix heart disease, why have then over the last 40 years has the use of cholesterol lowering medications gone up and up and up, yet death by heart attacks and strokes has also gone up and up and up?
Mm.
Seems to me they're on the wrong track.
Yeah. It's probably more to do with the fact people are more metabolically unhealthy now than anything to do with cholesterol, right?
Yes.
Um, an interesting thing I learned from talking to Malcolm Kendrick and Dr. Malcolm Kendrick and from reading his book, a lot of the time when researchers have said they found LDL within plaques, it's not actually LDL. It's LP little a. It's a different thing. It just resembles LDL because it looks the same, except there's some kind of marker on it that he calls a scarf that means it's not LDL. But people go there because they've got this bias. They're looking. They think they're going to find LDL. They just go, oh, looks like LDL, must be LDL.
Let
That's
me ask you a quick question here, Dave. Do
mm,
you know, and I only know this because Professor K and I have talked about this a couple of different times,
mm,
when they do an autopsy and they actually pull out a blockage from an artery and put it under a microscope,
mm,
what percentage of that blockage is some form of cholesterol, whether it be the lipoprotein LDL or the LP little a or any of the other types of particles, how much of that blockage is actually any of those things?
My guess, and from what I've read, is it's probably pretty small percentage.
3%.
Mm.
That's, once again, the analogy that Professor K uses is that you're blaming the firefighters for the forest fire when they're just there to try and put it out.
Mm. Yeah, very, very well said, Bob. Okay, John, do either of you get a strong metallic taste in your mouth while doing extended fasts? Whenever I'm in strong ketosis, it feels like it feels like a metallic taste. So I guess I don't know. I guess probably in a fast I would have that kind of taste. Have you ever experienced that, Bob?
No, but I don't do extended fasts. I
Mm.
mean, I do a one meal a day most days. So I have a 24-hour fast every day, and occasionally I'll miss and go to 48, but that's as much as it goes. And I've never noticed it. So
Mm.
I
Interesting.
don't know how to answer that one, John, except I just don't do extended fasts unless you
Mm.
consider 48 hours an extended fast.
Okay. Aid says the secret with cholesterol is to eat more of it.
Absolutely,
No.
because cholesterol is such a damaging, horrible poison to our body that our body makes 80% of what's in our system. What we eat only accounts for a maximum of 20% of our total cholesterol.
Mm.
So it must be awful for us if our body makes that much of it.
Yeah. And the fact that your brain cells need cholesterol to communicate, it's must be terrible for us, right? We should get
Absolutely.
it down at all costs. Yeah. So Lambs is saying Saladino is still causing harm to his body. He's aging rapidly, it seems. I mean, I would tend to think there is damage being done, but just because, you know, fructose is not good for you, like that's why kids get fatty liver now because of fructose. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he's probably just not doing as much damage as say someone like Bob or myself would do if we were consuming fructose because he's doing so much exercise, I guess. But yeah, I don't know him that well, but I have heard many people say that he has aged very quickly in his face. But yeah, I've never watched a Paul Saladino video apart from a part of a debate he did because yeah, everyone, even when 2 years ago when I was getting into this, people were already saying, yeah, Paul Saladino, you got to be careful of his advice. So I never followed him. Yeah. Okay, I'm just searching through here to see if there's any questions. Da, 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 da. Okay, any questions? Oh my goodness. Okay. Um, Rick says, I'm doing the most damage on my heart attack diet. Peter says, diet aside, doing as much endurance exercise as Saladino does also doesn't make you younger. Yeah, but you're still putting stress on your body, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
And at 6:02, multi schismo. I can't really read the
602.
comment.
Dun, 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 dun. Let me see. Multi Shismo. 602. Okay, here we go. Speculate on this, guys. I did very strict homemade carnivore beef, lamb, chicken for 2 months. Watery stools pretty much every day. And the last week I did yogurt from Aldi, no watery stools at all. Interesting. I think this is an individual thing as well. Like some people, like because everyone with the amount of fats that you consume in a day, like everyone's got to find a level that works for their body. Too much fat and you're going to have watery stools. Not enough, you're going to have constipation. And I think maybe this just comes down to, this is part of your finding the right balance for you. That would be my guess. Bob, what's your thoughts?
Yeah. I don't think it's an accident that your body makes a certain amount of bile every day, and it's different in everybody. And if you're putting enough fat into your body that you get watery stools, you're probably having a little bit more fat than your body can currently handle. But yeah, I have no idea why adding the yogurt would change that for you. Perhaps it's something in the dairy that's straightening you out. But as long as you don't see any negative effects from having the yogurt, then I would say go ahead and have the yogurt. But you might also just try some other fermented, like kefir, which is like fermented milk. Or even maybe a little bit of sauerkraut. Something fermented.
Rick's just commenting here about it. He said homemade yogurt and active plain ones have lactic acid, which can help stop diarrhea in some people. Interesting.
Thank you for that, Rick. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So
he continues with it. Lactulose is a medicine given for diarrhea and vomiting. Interesting. Oh, okay.
So I mean, you may try that for a while and just slowly up your fat, because your body may not be, you may have one of those sluggish gallbladders that doesn't squeeze out bile so quickly. And as you slowly up the fat, the gallbladder is a muscle and it will get stronger and be able to squeeze out more bile to help you digest the fat properly over time. But like I said, if it's working for you, I'd keep doing it and then maybe try cutting it out in another couple of months, see if your body's adjusted. But if you continue to get the results you want to get, there's no reason to change. That's just something that I would experiment. Once you get to the point where your results start to stall, you may consider taking the yogurt back out and seeing what happens.
Yeah. Okay. Brooke has a question. What time is it in Japan? It's currently 8:13 a.m. Thursday morning. Yeah. I feel like I need to be like the speaking clock. Remember the speaking clock? And you go boop, boop. Yeah, I'm showing my age now. When you had to call a number to check what the time was.
Hey, I remember calling time and temperature because, back in the day, that was sometimes when you were bored, that was your excitement for the day. You went ahead and called time and temperature and got the current time and the current temperature by calling a number.
Yeah.
Most of these kids today probably don't remember doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of an exciting thing to be able to use a phone back in the day, right? These days, yeah. Young kids of today, they just don't appreciate it. So Drew is... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, the answer to Drew's question is I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
I can tell you that my kidney markers at last lab test were better than they've been in decades. That's all I can really tell you. That's all I remember. I could look them up, but it would take a while. And, I haven't been to my primary care physician in a year and a half now, and I have no intention of going to a primary care physician because what is he going to tell me? Nothing. He's going to maybe find stuff and maybe want to put me on drugs. I just got off all my meds. I'm not going back on any drugs. I'm not an idiot. I do go still see my cardiologist once a year. But other than that, I'm not, I have no plans to go back to a primary care physician because unless something really hurts or changes color, I have no need for a primary care physician because the medical industry, I have no idea how it is in Japan, but here in the States now, it seems like they just have their algorithm that they take your numbers and they plug it into this chart and it spits out what drugs they're supposed to prescribe for you. And that's all they do. They have no interest in actually investigating anything. I can do all of the investigating on my own and not worry about it. If I really feel like there's a lab I want done, I can go to Own Your Labs and get it done myself. I don't have to go to a doctor's office to have that done. But to answer his question, I'm sorry, I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same here in Japan. Like the numbers paint the picture for the doctor. They're not interested in any nuance at all. There's no, what are you eating? What's your diet like? What's your exercise like? They don't care.
Yeah. I've never had a doctor ask me that. How is it? What's the first question? If any of you that have pets, if you take your pet to a veterinarian, what's the first question when you walk in the door? What have you been feeding this animal? Yet at no point in time in any doctor's office, and I've seen a lot of doctors and a lot of specialists, and not once has any of them ever asked me what I was eating.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like it's only doctors, The vet will say, what are you eating? The mechanic will say, why did you put this into your car? Like everyone wants to know like what the root cause is, right? Except doctors, because they've got a medicine that'll paper over the cracks. It's it's like in Japan, you walk past buildings and a lot of the external buildings, you can see the cracks that have been, plastered over or whatever from where the earthquakes have happened. And, you kind of think, well, that's basically what doctors are doing. They're just going, oh, those cracks, let's just cover them over. Yeah. So Rick's saying, who still uses a rotary phone today? I don't, but I remember hating people that had a 0 in their phone number, because it took so much longer to dial.
I don't still have one, although I do know, because a friend of mine is a retired electrical engineer that worked for the phone company for decades and decades. The lines do still work if you've got a rotary phone. They will still read the pulses from a rotary phone and put your call through.
Wow. John, Bob, are you still planning on walking through the Appalachian Trail in the future?
Yes, I am. It may not happen next year because I have not progressed as fast as I thought I would. My ability to get up and down off the ground is not as good as it needs to be. And with my plans for getting my homestead started, I may not be able to stop what I'm doing there to go do the Appalachian Trail. It may have to get pushed back one more year to 2026. I am still planning on through hiking it, but I have to continue to get better at getting up and down off the ground, because if you're going to through hike the Appalachian Trail, you got to sleep in a tent. And to sleep in a tent, you got to be able to get up and down off the ground. And I'm hopeful that some of the work that I'll be doing on my property to get my homestead started will actually help with that. We'll see how it goes. I'm actually, I have quite a bit of my camping gear set up. I'm actually planning on there are several national park hiking trails within a few hour drive of my property in Texas. I'm hoping to get out for a couple of overnight hikes this fall, just to take a break from digging trenches, which is what most of my year down on my property is going to be digging by hand with a shovel. And I'm sure I'm going to want some days off from that. And I plan on doing some small camping trips for that. And that'll be a good lead in, because if I can't go on an overnight camp and be successful getting up and down off the ground on an overnight, I'm certainly not going to be able to do a 3 or 4 month through hike of the Appalachian Trail. So we'll see how it goes. It is still my plans. It's probably not going to happen this coming spring, but we'll see how far I get on building my property.
Nice. And on regarding your property, Carnivore Meat Eaters wants to know, what animals are you going to have on your property?
The only thing I'm going to have this first year is I am probably going to try my hand at the first run of meat chickens, because it only takes about 8 weeks to grow a chicken from a chick to harvest size if you get meat chickens. I'm not going to get permanent animals until I am down there permanently, because if I got goats and sheep and hens that would lay eggs and that kind of stuff, I then have to be down there the whole time to take care of them. And until I get my roof built and my house set up underneath the roof properly so that I can survive both the winter and the winter, I'm not worried about. It's the multiple days of 110-degree heat that I will need specific things done before I can survive in the desert in the high of summer. Once I get everything done, I'm planning on probably goats, but maybe sheep, depending on which people think will do better in the desert. I'm going to have some chickens, both meat chickens and some egg-laying hens. I'm probably going to have some meat rabbits and maybe even some pigs. I probably won't do cows, because cows are a huge investment in both time and effort. It takes a lot of work to take care of a cow. I have great respect for these ranchers that, run 3,000-4,000 head of cattle on their ranch. That's a lot of work. And I'm not sure I want to, maybe at some point in the future, I'll try a cow, but my primary animals are going to be chicken and rabbits and either sheep or goats and maybe a pig or two to fill my freezer, which will then fill my belly.
Nice. John has a question. Dave, how do you pump out so much content? Do you do several interviews a day? How do you continue to find people to interview? So, do I do several interviews a day? Yeah. So I did 2 interviews immediately before this live stream, and I've got another interview later on this afternoon. And so, yeah, several interviews a day. How do I find people? Just I put a call out on my channel. It could be a post or it could be a video saying, if you want to come on, let me know. And I've had pretty good responses. So yeah, it's been great.
I must be the scary old man, because I've asked for people to jump on my channel and tell their stories, and I get crickets.
Oh,
Nobody
really?
Nobody responds. Everybody I've interviewed, I've reached out to.
You maybe need to try doing it in a Bellshine wig and see what they'll do.
I actually thought about doing my interviews as the great floating head of Bob. I put a green towel. I can put a green towel over my chair and put on a green shirt. Then all you see is just my head floating in the screen.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. It's just it reminds me of, remember those the original kind of video games where you just like 2 paddles on either side, and there was the pong thing going back and forward. You can have your head moving like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So what's it saying here? No, meat chickens are a double-edged sword. They're unable to walk around as they grow larger, and some people don't like to see animal cruelty. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's not animal cruelty if you're growing them for the purpose of food.
Where are we? It's also oh, okay. That's a follow-on from another comment about the Appalachian Trail. Hang on a second. Here we go. Bob, Lynn says, Bob, watch a Walk in the Woods movie with Nick Nolte and Robert Redford. They do the Appalachian Trail in that movie. Oh, cool.
Yeah, I've seen the movie. That's actually based on a book called A Walk in the Woods. I forget the author's name, but he thru-hiked the Appalachian Trail back in the late 60s, early 70s, and wrote a book called A Walk in the Woods.
Okay. All right. That's a nice question to finish up with. Brian, I have gained 25 pounds and A1C has gone up from 5.6 to 6.3 since going mostly carnivore since October. My first question would be, can you clarify what mostly means? Would be my first thing. But also regarding A1C, I have heard when you are carnivore, that's not as reliable as it could be because of one of the ways they measure it. And maybe something like fasting glucose can be more reliable to work out whether there's a diabetes problem. But I'm not an expert. I'm not a doctor. So just, take this as a friend saying that to you. Bob, do you have any thoughts on Brian's question?
Yeah. First off, yeah, I would need to know what mostly carnivore is. As we've learned from Dr. Gary Fetke and many others, the level of sugar that becomes toxic in the system is slightly less than a teaspoon. So even one piece of bread with your breakfast is too much sugar, especially if you're metabolically unhealthy. Now, the thing with A1C is primarily a 3-month average based on the fact that red blood cells live for about 90 days. Now, if you're a carnivore, people have posited that your A1C gets a little bit higher because your red blood cells live longer, giving them longer to get glycative damage from just being alive. The thing to do to check this is, and it's been passed now, you don't even need a prescription from your doctor. You can just go down to the pharmacy and get yourself a continuous glucose monitor. I don't know how much they are, but you only need to wear it for the 2 weeks that it's good for. Pop it on and watch it. The damage that's actually being done, if you have a 6.3 A1C and your glucose is spiking up and down and up and down and up and down, the average line of 6.3 will tell you that those high points are doing damage to your system. But if you have a 6.3 A1C and your glucose line does this on the continuous glucose monitor with just a little bit of a bump at every meal, there's no evidence that shows an A1C of 6.3 in that situation is dangerous. So you need to do just a little bit more research, get yourself a continuous glucose monitor for a couple of days, wear it for a couple of weeks, and see what it says. And if you're seeing some of the big spikes, you'll be able to see right away what it is you're eating that you probably shouldn't be eating.
Yeah, and just to follow up, Drew is saying, Bob, thank you for answering my question. I'm doing carnivore for my kidneys, and once I hit 90 days, going to get new blood work. Would be happy to be a guest to discuss and track over time. So there you go, Bob.
Yeah. Send me an email. It's on the homepage of my channel. It's all over the place. It's semi-retiredbob@yahoo.com. Send me an email. We'll get together and talk.
Excellent. So that's us. We've hit the 1 hour mark. So guys, thank you very much for joining us. Thanks for the chats. We nearly got to 100 in the live stream all at once, which is great. Really appreciate your time. And yeah, we I guess in about 2 weeks, we might do this again, Bob.
Yes, we can do it again in 2 weeks. And let me make a quick clip here. See, out there was a late question. I'm just going to copy it to my clipboard and see if I can't answer it on my channel in a future video.
Cool.
Because it is time for us to go. Thanks for coming today, guys. We really appreciate your support. Don't forget to click like on both channels. Drop down in the comments and say hi, Bob, and hi, Dave, because all these little interactions do help get the word out that it's never too late to change your life. And the proof is right here on the screen in front of you with both of us.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks a lot, guys. Cheers. Have a great day or great evening.